Hey, welcome back. This is our second video, medium drop fade, produced by Han Yoon. Hope you enjoy it. The first step in any fade is establishing what kind of fade or haircut you're actually going to do. This is a medium drop fade. I'm going to establish my guideline first off, trying to make sure that my guideline is as straight as possible all the way around. And this is going to set the tone for how clean your fade is going to be. Step 2, since this is a skin fade, just make sure that you keep your eye on the cutting blade. Just make sure that that cutting blade is in constant contact with the client's scalp. Remember, the key to a nice fade is going to be, especially if it's going to be skin, you want to make sure all the hair on the client's scalp is removed. Step 3, using my Master ANDIS with the lever all the way open. Simply putting in this guideline now is just to let us know where our fade is actually going to begin at. Now that we put in our second guideline, everything that we need to begin merging this fade is already in your hand. If you notice, the blade is not all the way closed, it's slightly open. The lever is in between the first and second notch, which is going to allow me to go back in between the 0 at the bottom and pick up this next transition. Anytime you're fading, always pay close attention to the direction of your client's hair growth. Going against the grain or with the grain in certain areas of the head, depending on the client's hair growth, may slow your fade down and cause you to do extra strokes on the client's head that may not be necessary. Now I'm clearing my guideline with the blade all the way closed, slowly opening up the blade as I transition through the parietal ridge. And what clearing is simply wherever your fade is beginning at. Clearing is the process of you completely going through that guideline, and immediately after you go through the guideline, you begin to open your clipper up. With the blade of the Master ANDIS all the way closed, we see the guideline that we put in disappearing, and you can see the process of what clearing and merging a fade is all about. Don't limit yourself while you're fading. Notice that I'm using my thumb to stretch the client's skin to give me a better view of my canvas. Now we're transitioning into clipper over comb in the parietal ridge, simply over directing my client's hair, removing bulk in the parietal ridge, and then allowing it to fall or combing it back down in this natural fall just to see how my blend is coming along. Transition to the back of the client's head, we're simply going to repeat the steps that we did earlier. Master ANDIS open to establish our guide, and that's going to let us know, like we said earlier, where our drop fade is actually going to begin. And we're going to start that open and closing process to clearing and merging this fade. Using a diagonal clipper over comb position, don't get so caught up in everything being horizontal. As you transition through different parts of the client's head, the comb angle has to change for you to be comfortable and for you to achieve the desired cut that you're trying to achieve on your client. I'm not telling you not to use horizontal clipper over comb angles. I'm simply saying add verticals and diagonals to your clipper over comb, because we manipulate hair. Hair does not manipulate us. Now I'm using a notching technique. What notching does, notching allows you to target or pinpoint any dark spot and allows you to remove that dark spot without altering the fade. Guys, remember, when you're cutting your client, you can use whatever part of the blade you need to help you achieve your desired cut. No limitations on this while cutting hair, guys. Let's look at guidelines a little different now, because sometimes guidelines hinder us, but I want you to look at guidelines as roadmaps as to where you're going. Don't get so caught up in doing guidelines and getting lost in them. Know that that guideline is going to help you achieve a certain cut faster. Why do we need so many guidelines when the guideline is already in our head? We don't need visual proof. You already know how to fade. Simply, this is the reason why I don't create a lot of guidelines around the head. This allows me to go 0 to 100 on any haircut. Repeating the steps on the client's right side, notice that we are simply going to take our Master ANDIS open again to establish that guideline to let us know where that fade is actually going to begin. Let me drop a nugget on you real quick. There's nothing special that we do as barbers. Everybody cuts hair, right? We open, we close, we horizontal, we diagonal, we vertical, we against the grain, we with the grain. The only thing that makes us special in this thing is how we treat the people that sit in our chair and how we make those around us who we have influence over, how we make those people feel on a day-to-day basis. Notice on the client's right side, I'm also using another notching technique. This time the blade on my Master ANDIS are all the way open, allowing me to target some dark areas without compromising the haircut. Transition to the client's right side, using clipper over comb against the grain, being sure to over direct the client's hair so I do not gap the client's hair. What I'm about to say is a very compromising subject on the matter of cutting a person's waves against the grain. It is very possible to actually cut a person's hair against the grain without compromising the client's wave pattern. By over-directing the client's hair, we simply remove any unwanted bulk in any area that we're trying to take off, combing the hair back down in its natural fall, and you can plainly see that his waves are still intact and the unwanted hair that we want to remove is easily coming off. Right now I'm going back and just simply removing any hair that's sticking up, doing some detail work. The top of the hair is basically finished. The haircut is finished. Only thing we have to do now is get these little loose strands that are sticking up, and we're going to move forward. Now that the haircut is practically finished, I'm using a raking technique to go back and detail some work, some areas in the head. What detail work is you taking the time to go back to see some areas that you might want to go back and touch up before saying that the haircut is completely finished. Now that our fade is finished, now it's time for the very most important part of the haircut, the part that could make you or break you, the edge up. On this edge up, I always start in the center and I either work my way to the right side of the client's head or the left side. Either way, I never start in a corner because corners are kind of scary. If you start on one corner, you really don't know if the other corner may be raised or lower. So I always start in the center, angling that client in front of me where I can see the client's entire face. Angling down, removing any hair on his forehead, boxing off that client. You always want to be mindful of that 45. That angle is at the corner of the client's eyebrow. Notice how I'm using my thumb to pull my client's skin down on his forehead to help give me a sharper edge up, which I will later come back with the straight razor. Also, this is a good technique to use when your client are small children and they have small foreheads. You can pull that skin down to give your T-edger room to actually fit on the forehead. After my T-edger, I'm using my straight razor to make the hairline a little bit sharper. I chose to leave my client sitting upright. I chose not to lay him back, but at this point, this is your preference whether you want to leave your client sitting upright or lay them back. Whatever is more comfortable for you, whether you want to lay your client back and go against the grain on their hairline, or leave them sitting upright and go with the grain. I want to take this time to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to share my heart with you in these videos. I want to tell you a little bit about 0 to 100 and what it actually stands for. The 0 to 100 is a brand that's basically all about building people up wherever they're at. The 0 is basically for beginners, the 2 is for intermediates, and the 100 is for people who are advanced. But in all three levels, we can always learn something. One of the things I can say that I had to deal with as a young barber over the years is it's not about how you perform in the shop. Mostly it's about how you feel when you're away from everybody else. The questions that you have, the questions that you're scared to ask certain people, because even in the shop, not knowing how to transition from this place to that place. But 0 to 100 is a brand. about building a brotherhood, that we can be called upon at any given time to help somebody transition from one level to the next.